Okie dokie, we are back with more Final Fantasy XII. I'm just going to push the main story today, I think, because the remaining Espers seem like they're too big of a hassle to mess with. I think to do that I have to get on the airship. When I look at the map, it says I have to get on the Strom, which... Have I been able to board the airship the whole game, or is that kind of a recent... Like, oh right, one of the main characters is a sky pirate. I think I've seen... There's like a little, like, airship chain stuck in the ground in specific places. I thought there would be one in Rabanastre, but maybe there's one in one of the, like, side areas. I'll go look. I'll Google it in a second if I have to. I don't think it gets a map marker. It'd be really nice if there was just one in Giravegan or Balfenheim. Check 2 more places, then I'll look it up. No, don't see one. Bumped into it a couple times last episode. I just don't remember where it is. Start. FF12 how to board Straw. You can board it at any aerodrome, apparently, in addition to the weird, like, chain thing. So I guess I'll just go to the one in Rabanastre, because I know where that is. Hey, sir, how you doing? As well as certain locations on the field, okay. Game seems a bit quiet. I'm going to turn it up a hair here. Being private airships. Yes, let's board. Cool. Graphics. That's better. Turn it down here. Hey, what did I do? It's a really cool set piece. I stole this dungeon from FF14.
A tower on distant shore. And about its peak, a piercing mist.
I think I like the FF14, like, evilly stuff better than the evilly stuff in this.
The Suncrest waits.
My lady, your words still sound of doubt. Pray you reach your answer ere we the Suncrest.
And? Should I choose revenge, what then?
Hey,
Then
thanks,
your
Kevin. How
woe
have you
shall
been?
be your own.
We did have a good holiday.
Vaughn,
Thank you very much.
If something untoward should happen to me, you're taking the straw.
Untoward? What's this about?
I am the leading man. Might need to do something heroic. Don't worry, I'll show you how to fly her.
I think if I've encountered fiction that's like Final Fantasy XIV, where, like, obviously, you know, every Final Fantasy game is an anthology, and you have some recurring character names like Cid. Okay, well, this Cid is usually some kind of engineer, but his identity changes. But, like, that concept of Cid is applied to, like, everything in Final Fantasy XIV. You'll meet somebody named Ramza, and it's not, like, literally Ramza. But they kind of look like Ramza that we know, and their character is somewhat inspired by Ramza. But they've been, you know, tailored like Cid would be. It's kind of cool. It's like different interpretations of a mythological figure. Oh, nice. Because it fell over the weekend, Kevin? That's cool. And you get your Star Wars reference with Biggs and Wedge. Well, I guess we haven't had a game yet where Biggs and Wedge are the final boss. Porkins is the final boss. But I guess 14 feels unique in that the other Final Fantasies are mostly just borrowing, like, monsters and summons and things like chocobos, but not completely reinterpreting characters we've already seen so much, other than Cid. It's a copyright problem, yeah. That'd be kind of cool. I guess we see a decent amount of that with stuff that's in the public domain or stories that are based on, like, mythology, right? You get many different interpretations of Odin or Zeus or Hercules or whatever else. Basically, the current state of copyright is very bad for creativity. The only companies that get to do shit like that are, like, monoliths like Disney that own everything. Oh, cool. I'm excited to play that. Do you find that it's reasonably sight-readable? There are only a couple things in the base Outer Wilds campaign that I really needed to ask chat for help on. Usually they were things where I got the general idea of what they wanted me to do, but didn't understand the specific way they wanted me to do it. Nice. Ghillie boots are an accessory, presumably? Yes, okay. I found that Outer Wilds does a really good job of having puzzles that feel like La Mulana Obtuse, where you feel really, really good for figuring them out on your own, but that aren't, like, La Mulana difficult to figure out if you're paying attention. I don't think I've played another game that has, like, quite nailed that. Pheasant Natsuki. I don't know what that is at all. So Suna doesn't work on oil, huh? They have handkerchiefs or whatever, but we got enough status effects to deal with here. I'm going to turn off these. Just have him Asuna people. That should be fine. I barely remember it from playing it, what was it, 15 years ago, back when it came out? And I think I remembered it more fondly than my experience has been so far. But I also think that it might be in that category of a game that's more enjoyable if you're playing it with a walkthrough and, like, squeezing all of the side content out of it as possible. It's not like it's not bad. It's not like Final Fantasy X-2 where I was like wanting to tear my hair out and scream psychically constantly. But it's very oddly structured compared to every other Final Fantasy. And even compared to, like, in my mind I was like, oh, it's probably like Tactics, right? Like, Tactics kind of feels like Game of Thrones. It's very dense. But this game is like the opposite of dense. At least the way it's paced. I'm sure there's like a lore bible that's very dense that they came up with. This guy died to a phoenix down because that would be funny. This game is extremely playable. It's not a like broken nightmare shit show like 10-2. I think it's a strong B for me on the whole. The Gambit system is very cool, and just try Phoenix Downs for funsies. Hydro. I don't think that the Gambit system is like fully realized in this game with its potential, although maybe it is if you're like doing all the optional super bosses and stuff. It's also true with Final Fantasy X. Like, the combat system has a bunch of cool complexity that basically doesn't matter if you don't do the full monster arena. Yeah, right. Traps are a weird choice. Yeah, and I'm actually kind of puzzled by the Zodiac job version. Like, I don't know what I was expecting. I really should start recording like what I think something is going to be before a game starts to compare it to what it actually is, because then I can't like recall what my brain modeled it as before I started playing it. But it seems very close to the expert sphere grid in Final Fantasy X. Yeah, Sid in this game is cool. Sid is the one thing I remembered about it, so... I know the meme is to make fun of Vaughn, but I think basically every character in this game is Vaughn. Like, this game just isn't about the party. It's about the things happening around the party that arguably might happen even if they weren't participating in the story. If we were speculating maybe this was originally drafted as like a tactical RPG where it could be about armies as opposed to JRPG heroes, right? There was one big scene with Fran and her feelings of like isolation from her Wookiee tribe or whatever. Like, it's not saying that Bosch doesn't have character moments, but like,
Hey, Fran.
they're not particularly
Something's written on the
emotional.
wall.
Engraved by someone, it seems. It's
I
quite
suppose
old.
that's fair, sir.
Lo, seeker in days unborn, God blade bearer. Know you, this tower challenges the sky. Where the watcher, the ward of the three waits, soul hungry, unsated. He without power, want it not. He with power, trust it not. He with sight, heed it not. Rend illusion, cut the true path. In blood, Wraithwall.
The Dynast King?
Obviously,
Does it
I like
startle
worlds
you?
that are bigger than the party. I don't need the
Dynast
JRPG
King took his
protagonists to
sword
be
from
the most important
Ocuria.
people in the world,
It was
but
here he claimed the Nethicite.
it feels like it's trying
He
to have its
must have
cake and eat
known
its
he was
too,
not the
maybe?
last the Ocuria would choose. He left this for you. Rend illusion, cut the true path. Words of much mystery, yet his blood runs in your veins. Perhaps it whispers to you the truth.
Reach heaven through violence. Sure, yeah. It's not bad, it feels very different. Having just played through a bunch of the Sakaguchi Final Fantasies. And I played Tactics several times, so in my mind I modeled this game as, oh, it must be just like Tactics, because it's the Italy's team, but even Tactics is pretty heavily driven by like the relationship between Delita and Ramza. Touch the orb. Okay. Am I not supposed to touch those? The fact that they gave me an option is alarming. It's a mimic. Benighted child, chosen with life so short. Not for you are the words given the unchosen. To heaven's bright sphere turn, her heights attain. Just some horses who live here, you know, it's fine. They eat. It's weird because like I won't question it in a game with like random battles. Like, oh, okay, there's some kind of horse monster here. That's cool. But you see him just walking around in a room. You're like, oh, I guess this is what they do. He's gonna walk around in this room, huh? It is okay that I keep picking up these orbs, right? From Beast of Tower's base, rest the orbs you seek. Ah, ripe with hidden magics. So the only way to get the orbs is on this floor. Sounds like, if I heard that correctly. Oh, like going down instead of up. I see. Chrono Trigger. 1 through 10 are all random battles. Chrono Trigger, all of the monsters feel pretty authored. Like, they tend to be, like, doing something on the map, like climbing a ladder or playing a game with each other, or just, like, doing something that kind of makes them, looks like they try to make them fit a little bit. Not always. You get some mutants that are just like, okay, I guess that's like a car mutant, cool. He just lives there. Give me sandals. Yeah, there's like scripted sequences where there'll be triggered battles, but... What's in this room down here before I leave? Probably hit that orange safe crystal, that would be nice. Be able to just warp back here if I need to go buy remedies or Phoenix Downs or something. Take my orb. Mystic Quest was still random battles, right? That's the one I haven't played in the longest time. 1 is absolutely screen flash random battles, 2 and 3 are screen flash random battles, 4, 5, and 6 are screen flash random battles, 7, 8, and 9 are screen flash random battles, and 10 is a screen flash random battle. Oh, is Mystic Quest like they're on the map and you run into them? Final Fantasy USA? Maybe that's the one you're thinking of, Aaron. Throne of Truth. Speak of truth. These words writ by hands undying. Okay, cool. Still trying and struggling to use my words better to like articulate why the pacing in this game feels strange to me, because I don't think that it's a positive or negative thing. I think it's a player audience type thing that as I've been streaming for years upon years, I've grown to really value sight readability in games as opposed to games like being understood through fandom or multiple playthroughs or reading external material about it, right? So like a game that's super invested in onboarding me onto its universe is one that I particularly enjoy, and I don't think that 12 is that kind of game, and it feels odd because it's clear that the developers have a lot of ideas for like the lore and the setting and the politics, but they're just not really presented on the main path. The main path, much like 10-2, is a lot of like mechanics with no story, and then boom, cutscene. Things happen around the party. I'm really interested to see how 13 feels in that regard, because these here dwelling off possess black orbs. Herewith approach by then offering sealed way to open. Okay. Use a black orb. First seal has been broken. Oh, okay. I don't have to keep spamming black orbs on this thing one at a time. I actually played like the first 40 minutes of Final Fantasy 13. I don't remember any of the story in it. I just remember booting it up and the game having a ton of proper nouns with like apostrophes in them and shit. Like, I feel like I remember the word "lassie," and then the game being like, "Oh, to know what this means, you gotta like open up this codex that explains all these terms." Which I don't know why I'd be complaining, because like I love the codex in something like Mass Effect. But Mass Effect also feels structured in such a way that, like, you can kind of figure out what shit is without reading it, right? You'll know what the Krogan genophage is without reading the wiki. There's a lot of the curiosities one might explore without feeling a little bit of a time crunch. Yeah, I definitely feel there are very few games that are, like, all meat, for lack of a better word. Where meat is something that's unique, non-degenerate, incredibly worth doing, as worth doing per second of time investment as anything else in the game, right? Usually the games that are like that are super short. They're like, you know, sub 10 hours, sub 5 hours. So I start to model content in terms of its significance, uniqueness, non-degeneracy. They're like visiting all of the maps and getting all the summons in Final Fantasy X is more significant, more unique content, less blood from a stone than grinding out the monster arena, given the number of hours it takes to do both things. It's like a function of significance divided by time or something. I spent like an hour getting Hastega, but it's feeling worth it. I think I was able to get... Oh, you know, I didn't do... When we started stream here, we got Zeromus last stream, and I didn't assign it. So, Makara... and Heavy Armor 9. I don't really care about any of that. Already have both of those. Already have that. Well, alright. Does it suck for Ash? Adel and Sheer, which are both potentially good, maybe? Sight Unseeing is less exciting. Like, Sheer is the one that I would actually use, but I don't know that I'm ever actually going to use that. Is that one of the gambits you can do if their magic resist is above a certain value? Use it just the once. Are enemies immune to it ever? Yeah. Time being in the denominator is really important, I would agree. So this makes it seem like I need to find at least one more little statue thing to put. Maybe it's the one southeast here. Go give that a try. Seems like there's a decent number of games where, like, there's actually extremely significant unique content that's worth attempting, but it's, like, gated by, I think this is never going to get removed if I don't remedy it, right? It's, like, gated by, you know, the length of the playthrough, of a normal playthrough times 10 to get to it, and it's like, oh my god. Can you imagine if folks set out to, like, intentionally make something like that to, like, gate an entire game and, like, fresh set of gameplay loops behind hundreds of hours of nonsense? I guess that's what catching up in an MMO feels like sometimes. I don't know why they started doing that. Started in 8, right? There was no codex in 7 or prior, and it being in 8 was kind of like a weird band-aid for not having Sakaguchi around to direct the way the game was supposed to flow. But it's not in 9 or 10 either, so it doesn't start becoming a thing. Oh yeah, I suppose that's true, yeah. Trails of Cold Steel. The game that should have started at the beginning of Trails of Cold Steel 2. Read the inscription. Open the door. Is this progress or is this optional? The fuck? Okay, thank you. Yeah, but I feel like that stuff is like minor flavor text. It's not like 8 where if you don't read it, then things make no sense at all, right? It's slightly lower depth than like your typical item description in Dark Souls. Pandemonium, you say? Ancient turtle shell there. Oh, I guess I have to actually find the technique to be able to use it. Well, I think that probably speaks to what I was saying, that it's not necessarily like a good or a bad thing necessarily. It's just a player audience type of problem. I guess I'm of the opinion that you can make a game that like tells its story through the normal gameplay and doesn't require the player to read a wiki or a codex or engage with the fan community to figure out what the fuck's going on. And you can still have a wiki and a codex and a fan community that's active, discusses it, right? I guess Mass Effect would be my example of that. I don't think that like the base game of Mass Effect ever explains why starships don't have windows. or that lasers can't miss. That's only in the codexes, but it also isn't like material to the plot in any way. So while I say I don't think it's necessarily a good thing versus a bad thing, it's just an audience thing, I can also kind of smugly be like, well, if they make it work for me, it doesn't make it not work for people who like the immersion and codex and fandom style of engaging with material. It can work for both of us. Magics of the stone begin to fade. I guess the trade-off, because basically everything in game design is a trade-off, is that if you spend the time to make your game make sense to a blind playthrough sight reading it, I guess that requires work and effort. And that work and effort could be spent developing your systems more, or expanding the scope of the game. 13 does explain Lassie and Fal'Cie and like the texts. Interesting. I remember it being a really big turnoff for me. Like, I was surprised. I did not go into Final Fantasy 13 in those like 30 or 60 minutes I played of it. Like, I did not have a negative perception of it. I wasn't coming in prejudiced. I was actually really excited to play another Final Fantasy. I remember like, what the fuck is this? Like, I assume something else has changed as a result of that room opening. I guess I'll go back to it really quick. Part of the challenge of trying to articulate this better, I need to understand why I love Dark Souls, which is bereft of information, and you have to like scrounge for nuggets in item descriptions and stuff. Like I think that shit is rad as hell. I guess it's because the basic like structure and layout of Souls games is telling me that like you're insignificant, and you're insignificant on purpose. You don't appear to be insignificant due to a failure of storytelling that is super deliberate. Yeah, we'll have to see once I get to it. I'm gonna try to come at 13 with an open heart. I'm not planning to go into it and hate it. I feel like I am going to come at 15 more negatively than 13. My understanding is that 15 kind of assumes that you watched an anime and read a comic book. Is that true? I hate that. I hate when anything does that. Not just video games, it happens in movies sometimes too. I love the Animatrix, and I think it's one of the best things to come out of the Matrix, except for the very first movie. But it's weird and bad that there are characters in The Matrix Reloaded who only make sense if you watch the Animatrix. Which is definitely not like pitched as a necessary middle installment. A lot of the FF13 lore is in 7 more fabulous Exploding Star Crystals games that never actually happened. Yeah. Oh, man. How does that man still have a job? I guess because they still made a shitload of money. And Sakaguchi lost them a shitload of money with the movie. Man, let me peek into that alternate timeline where, like, Sakaguchi just had nothing to do with Spirits Within. Just wasn't assigned to the project at all. Opened these treasure chests before, so I know that they're garbage. My brain still very badly wants to care about treasure chests. I should just ignore them and run through the stage here. Stands on its own at least as well as Realm Reborn content. Okay. It's a reasonable comparison to help me understand. 14 Realm Reborn content honestly felt disconnected, bizarre, and like completely strangely paced. But I bet it's been improved now with the adjustments in the main story quest. Power, Wisdom, and Mist. Okay, so that makes it sound like I did one of the things that I ultimately need to do in order to get deeper into the dungeon. Right? Cutscene seems promising. Oh, that's cool. A demon shield, you say? No one's gonna use shields, everyone's got 200 weapons. I think I need to make a gambit for removing my status equals disable. Disable is remedies specifically, right? But only with the, it's like a Remedy 1 or Remedy 2 upgrade or something. Thanks, Fran. Hello, is back here as a demon shield? These guys. Oh, brain pans. That's not a brain pan. Did they make the brain pan, the one that looks like the FF6 enemy in Final Fantasy 14? Is that a new sprite to 14? I was wondering if maybe that was in 13 or this game. These guys are extreme dicks. Get used to them. Is this the first Final Fantasy where we start to feel the, like, pangs of the art department? I guess I kind of associate that starting with games around this era where, like, you don't have a million different types of enemies anymore because it requires so much effort just to model the single enemy. they have all their different animations and textures, and so I guess that just gets worse over time. There's not like a threshold where it suddenly becomes really bad. I really feel it in games like, you know, God of War 2018, which I think God of War 2018 is great, but there's like 10 different kinds of enemies in the game. Paths you may rely. By path of living flame have you come, frozen in stone, the green flame passes from time, stone now and evermore. Okay. So going up in this dungeon is the critical path? Is that right? Going down is optional content? Dragon Helm. Okay, thank you. Nice. Assume that's all authored loot. Chests in these little dead-end rooms. Down is post-game. Okay. Yeah, right? I think that's honestly the smarter way to do it. And it seems like Square picked up on that pretty early. So like, okay, we've got a 3D bomb asset. We don't need to reinvent what a bomb looks like in every game. Like, just use it again. Maybe update the texture a little bit. It makes 7 games that use the PS2 models. They finally update them recently? Imagine they're making that hard on themselves and that people basically demand that all of the demons return from game to game. I guess that's probably part of what motivated the whole National Dex controversy with the most recent Pokemon game, right? I don't know if the arms race is ever going to end. We would hope that stuff like, you know, Mega Man 9 would have made a dent in it, but no one seems to show any sign of stopping. And so you look at how Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10 all came out in like a decade? 6 years maybe? And then we canceled 7 fabulous Exploding Star Crystals games. Kingdom Hearts 3 took a console generation to come out. It's like, guys, if you want to make the next Kingdom Hearts game like look like a PS2 game, that's fine. On sight must you rely, at mercy of the currents of this fading world. Seduced by false illusion, it is the fool who cuts not his own path, celestial glory ne'er to behold. Is that also in Tetrameter? We just noticed. No, it's not. Well, this one is. Yeah. Because, Yoshi P is a god project manager. I'm sure people complain about the formulaic format of the content cycle for 14, but that is how you get shit done. Talk about a game that has been built all along to try to continue to build tools to make it easier and easier to make more content as time goes by, not harder. The success of 14 makes me very, very, very excited for 16. I've basically been saying since, like, Heaven's Word or Stormblood that they need to just give Final Fantasy to Yoshi P, for the love of God. And I'm very much convinced that this Strangers in Paradise butt rock Final Fantasy game is just a honeypot to trap the Nomura team. Keep them out of it. Look, we're gonna let you remake Final Fantasy 1. That's the most important Final Fantasy. It's the first one. You can do whatever you want. You want to take 38 years to make it? Go for it, man. Wait. I said, God Project Manager. Worked in testing, but my job title was technically Project Manager. Like, I was, like, only governing a single phase of the project, though, just the testing phase, but... I can see the dude's Gantt charts. There's nobody like him in the business. If Itoy was the god programmer... It's something that Blizzard has never been able to accomplish, following all the different developers there for World of Warcraft. Wingless child, consigned to walk the world below. Many are the works whose natures of duality possess. When stone face lit by red flame falls, then red flame turns to stone, the path is clear. So, this is where I don't know if this game is complex enough that they want me to, like, cast fire on one of the stone heads and then, like, petrify one of them. Like, is it that, or is it like, oh, one of the green guys is going to be red instead, and you kill that one, and it's going to open a door, right? Like, that's what I mean when I talk about a puzzle complexity spike. This game has had a handful of cool little weird things, like having to summon Goliath to open that one door, and having to equip that accessory to interact with that one teleporter. But the rest of the game has kind of given me, you know, go kill the one that is red instead of green vibes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you go back and watch the awful... Oh, this is our red guy. I guess that answers my question. If you go back and watch the awful slow Final Fantasy XIV VODs I was recording back when I was still recording the main story quest, talked a lot about how it looks like they're planning to remove TP. And this is the way you remove TP. You don't just, like, remove it in one patch. You take steps to minimize it for several patches, right? So not only is it true that they're constantly working on the next one, but also they're making a design decision and then, like, releasing it in an iterative way. Getting rid of cross-class abilities, or the limitations on them. The way the Jenga tower doesn't collapse because you're pulling out too many blocks at once, right? Great. very standard in my experience with project lifecycle that when you need to make a change, it's usually easier to make a small change now that acts as a band-aid, and then keep stacking the band-aids until you're able to completely remove the thing you want to get rid of. You're gonna have a bad time if you just like pull something out or greatly modify it. I think the only big Final Fantasy XIV decision that to me felt like a mishandle or a misplay was the main story quest roulette and the way that they made cutscenes unskippable and then like massively increased the XP reward for it. That made me roll my eyes. I think that's basically what it was, that was never their intent to be the long-term solution to there being 2 story dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV that were long and miserable and full of cutscenes before they had realized not to put cutscenes in story dungeons, right? So it's probably true that converting them into single-player instances or having them be trusts where you have AI allies is not something that you can do in a patch cycle or several patch cycles or maybe even an expansion. But the Band-Aid definitely felt like it was moving in the wrong direction. Do we know what they're doing with that yet? Anyone who follows Final Fantasy XIV? I guess if you don't play Final Fantasy XIV, the gist of it is, like any developer, they've kind of learned lots of lessons as they've developed the game, and unfortunately, 2 of the, like, missions at the end of the story of the, like, original, like, vanilla expansion for Final Fantasy XIV are full of in-dungeon cutscenes, even though it's like a group of 8 people. And they've learned never to put cutscenes in the dungeon. They always are outside of the dungeon before you go into it, so you have plenty of time to watch it. But it means people who are farming the content are wanting to skip them and rush through it. And it leads to a really awful experience for the newbie players because you get all these really important bosses with really cool songs that play when you fight them, and you don't get to enjoy any of it because it all gets rushed so quickly. This bridge, is that based on killing green guys? I think trust is the right solution for a lot of their problems. I got into some fights in Discord about trusts, because it certainly felt to me like when they released the trust system for Shadowbringers, that it's like, oh, okay, this is Yoshi P at it again. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being available for virtually all of the content in the game at some point in the distant future. I think every time I kill one of these green guys, another green guy spawns, and then it adds more blocks to the bridge there. I get it. Like, have trust backfill for all the old content, right? You would never want it for current relevant raid content, but if you're doing, I don't know, one of the trials from Stormblood years later, it would be nice to be able to go in there with a trust and have that force you to do the mechanics and enjoy the content. My understanding is that's how 11 works right now. That you have trusts, you have AI companions, and as a result can solo most of the game. I don't know if these green guys just respawn like any other enemy, that when I walk a certain distance from them they reappear. It's weird. It's a weird dungeon. I need to kill one more of these green guys. See if they spawn up here now. This is an odd level. Yeah, I think it would be great, Aki. I'd be a big fan. I imagine it's not trivial to backfill it to all the old content. At least the dungeons, if not the raid stuff, but I put a big premium on being able to experience content like somewhat close to how it was intended on launch, without actually having the stress of having to deal with like queues and aggressive players playing it on launch. And that's a difficult needle to thread. You basically instantly deprecate the content every time you patch the game. It's just the way modern MMOs that aren't RuneScape work. I still have some like random, I think there's like a raid and a couple trials that were optional that I didn't do in Shadowbringers, and I'm concerned that I'm not going to be able to really play them now. I don't know what percentage of players give a shit about experiencing content as it was intended on launch, though. I think there's a lot of people who don't give a shit. And that's why Destiny 2 has a player base. Thank you. Probably mess around on people's license boards here in a second. What is with this? There's like a... Oh, there's a chest in this corner that I could get from the other room. God, okay. Alright, licenses real quick. Just... going crazy. I think people not syncing content is a, it's an overlapping... Let's get this first. I will get the MP cost one soon. That's an overlapping incentive problem. There's not a compelling enough incentive to do it unsynced. So the only reason to do it is for its own sake, and I would not do it for its own sake. Like, I would see that, oh, like... the only reason to do it is for its own sake. Oh well, I guess I'm never going to get to experience it as was originally intended. That tends to drive me a little bit crazy in video games, when it feels like if they cared, they could add mechanics that suitably rewarded you for turning on sync or whatever, and it wouldn't be a particularly massive development load. I'm very, very sympathetic to how difficult it is to make video games, so I don't want to say, well, why don't they just make everything, why don't they equally incentivize you to do all of the content in the game? But I know that that's a very impossible ask, but sometimes you get stuff like aggressive level syncing in Final Fantasy XIV, where it's like, yeah, we just don't care. It's fine. And I think it kind of generates a self-reinforcing market loop like you get with, you know, our market research says that girls don't play with Legos, so we're going to only market our Legos to boys. And the next quarter, oh, our market research says that girls don't play with Legos. Wonder why. Our market research says nobody does synced content. Yeah, right. Again, it's a divided by time problem, right? Time's in the denominator. I don't think anybody is, like, doing this actively maliciously. I just think there's a lot of things to think about, and that's a pretty low priority on a lot of people's lists, but I feel like I don't know how many players are out there who are like me, who are concerned with playing the game as close to how it was designed to be played as possible. But there are dozens of us. Dozens. I think of it like the tabletop RPG design problem that I complain about all the time on stream, that it is fundamentally a giant pain in the ass to manage mechanics in a tabletop RPG. No one likes doing it because it sucks to do. And so modern tabletop design has moved towards, you know, fewer rules, less crunchiness, on the argument that, well, no one wants a super crunchy system anyway because it sucks to do. And it's like, well, you know, maybe if someone leveraged technology to make a system that didn't suck, that wouldn't be a problem. But no one feels inspired to do that because it seems like there's no audience for it. Ignorant child, born of chaos. I'm here to kill chaos. Know you, it was our king, pitying a world bereft of order, surfeit with strife, who stamped true seal on mortal wax. I like this lore text in these rooms, it's kind of cool. This is like an independent phenomenon from cursed problems in game design. It's like chicken egg problems in game design. Guarantees a mount drop. Spend 20 minutes on a hard fight with 100% drop if you clear, or 3 minutes on a trivial fight with a 5% drop. Right. That mount change sounds kind of attractive. If I could track down a dozen never nudes who really want the experience of playing it as intended, at least you have, there's a carrot at the end. It's hard to make video games. Ignorant child, whose works are ephemera and folly, never forget it is not your power which o'er the temporal world holds sway, but our king's own providence. We got a regular old save point up here. Here on floor 48. This is a dungeon. Just thought I would check. The undying who straighten the weave you tangle so, choose the path you must walk. Yeah. I feel that way too, Aki, about looking for the references and understanding things that'll be referenced in future games. That's a cathartic milestone for me in playing through Final Fantasy XIV story. Black Mask. Give me 15% extra damage on enemies on the same Slayer task as me. Magic power up. Okay. Very good. Second of 3 is our second boss. Got it. I mentioned that earlier. And I see what you mean too, Walter, that so much of the dungeon content was clearly intended to be way harder than it was. One or two random things that escape nerfs when they're not very numbers dependent. Your don't stand in the fire mechanic that just instantly kills you instead of doing damage or inflicting vuln stacks that you can ignore. It's a fish. Am I gonna have to try to fight this fish? Or is it just gonna die? Big fish. Oh, that answers that question. I don't feel terribly bad when I own these fights because it's like, oh, my gambit setup worked. But I wish I didn't have that math thing in the back of my head that's like, oh, it's because you grinded too much, or it's because you got the optional espers, or it's because you unlocked too many nodes on the license board, right? I would love to just believe that if I can autopilot a fight on fast forward, then it means that I programmed the characters correctly. But I can't be sure of that. Gambit system definitely makes face-rolling content feel less bad, though. For me, anyway. I wonder if I've ever played Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy VII where I didn't just like go into the final dungeon and just one-shot everything. If the ending fanfare is longer than the fight, you're probably over-leveled. I think this is backtracking, question mark? It is. Yeah, I like introducing bugs like that into the party. It's fun to troubleshoot. This game would benefit from a little bit more player feedback, like even if it wasn't like a literal DPS number, like some kind of meter to tell you the relative efficacy of your party members. It'd be a nice way to help you spot bugs. Go, Ash is at a 0. That's weird. It's just gonna let me leave, basically, or it just goes to the next floor. Saw those chests. You can't change the music and pretend like this is any... It looks exactly the same. At least change the lighting. Reach of Diamond Law. Okay, so... Do you think... Ignorant child, ignorance of fear. Rare is the power that can bind. Here alone such magics work. Cool. Sounds like that was actually important. Is it actually going to take all of my gold? Because that would be very mean. Because you could probably go spend it immediately, right? Wealth avails you not. So what did that take from me? Did that just take a set amount of gil? Characters cannot use items, okay. Maybe it's more that I'm picking a thing to be locked out. You whom worldly props are now denied. It's pretty neat. Hopefully none of these motherfuckers cast Disable on Bosch. Yeah, I don't know if you have to pick one of 4 debuffs so I could have like magic turned off or items turned off. Or if I end up having to do all of these paths. The text made it sound like it could read it either way. Blood darkened bone. Oh yeah, if we get diseased, it's basically game over. It's gotta be up there in terms of like nastiest status effects in video games. Not just in its base effect, but like the difficulty in cleansing it and the ongoing hassle it causes. Bune. Yeah, there's some nasty ones. Yeah, the Dark Souls frogs are pretty nasty. That status effect that has a chance to delete your save file. I don't want to give away what game it was. I guess if you know, you know. But I played one game that messed around with deleting your save file. Well, I guess there's a game that does it after the credits in a way that's just kind of cute, but doesn't like introduce much anxiety if you don't give a shit about saving your save file for posterity or something. But the other game is a game that threatens it as like a condition of failure, and it's totally a fake out, and it was one of the best fake outs ever. Like, believing that was true, even though I suspected it may have been bullshit, was like solely responsible for that game raising my heart rate throughout the whole thing. You have to find a book that contains cures for various diseases or could randomize each run and involve buying certain equipment and hunting for random monster traps. Oh man, so like full on nasty roguelike shit. I'm excited. Is that game like fully done now? Is it still just getting lots of patches all the time? I think DGR put it on Subblock years ago, and I really enjoyed what little I played of it. Ignorant child, orphan from history's truth. Heights unknown and unknowable. Sit we, sovereign o'er all. Disease that impairs your vision. The cure requires you to consume a randomized edible monster part and drink a randomized fluid and then hit yourself with a flashbang. Oh, Walter. I'm laughing out of... empathy. That sucks. I'm sorry. Hey, Ahan, how you doing? Another door up here. This room might be problematic. Yeah. Oh, the lack of elixirs is, or ethers is problematic. Probably just need to find the exit, like, post-haste. I think I see where it is. Uh-oh! This was the thing I was worried about happening. I'm just fucked, aren't I? Like... Now, in the base game, I would be less likely to be fucked, because it would be much more reasonable for multiple characters to have access to Asuna. But it's very possible you can just programmatically screw yourself via the way you laid out your jobs. This game really does feel like, oh wait, I want to go this way. The Zodiac job system feels a lot like the Expert Sphere grid. Play it the way you would have played the original one. It's a mod that allows for new runs to be in a state of guaranteed failure. He started a character locked in the basement of a building on fire. That's fun. Solving a Ghost Starry Night jigsaw puzzle. Oh, nice! I haven't done a jigsaw puzzle in a while. That'd probably be a good thing for me to do with Andrea. We've generally handled the pandemic lockdown decently okay, but I do have a little bit of cabin fever. Trying to get some MP back since I can't use ethers. I think I might just have to run to the exit here. Fortunately, I have the map. Enemies leash eventually, don't they? That just seems pretty good about not running out of MP constantly. Does not open from the side. Oh, that's mean. How dare you, game. Should watch Muppet Christmas Carol. We did watch Die Hard on Christmas Day. Shit. I have this frustrating thing where doors, like, interactables sometimes don't work when you're doing a combat transition, which is exactly when you need them to work the most. Well, that's bad. None of them have any source of res that's not a Phoenix Down, right? I guess I can make them all sub-white mage. Oh, did I have to do something to give them their second license board? Like, did I have to talk to a specific person? And I can't make... It's a node they hit? Okay, thank you. God. Okay, here we go. Copy license board. Probably gonna pop in and like die instantly, to be honest. What was a rise? Is it in the northwest corner somewhere? Probably pick up HP nodes, so it slightly decrease the chance of him getting insta-jibbed, but I'm guessing he's gonna get insta-jibbed just based on his other stats. Renew is not a rise. This would be a great screen to be able to fast forward. Maybe it is down here somewhere and I just went over it without realizing. Cleanse. Thank you. I was thinking of Renew, I think is the one that was far away. Alright, so if I give him a gambit to res people... HP critical means something very specific, right? It's like a specific status. Let's see what happens if I just bring in Vaughn. I guess also Balthier, just to have another person out to maybe suck up some damage here. Well, this looks promising. Open the door. Open the door. See, this keeps happening and I don't understand it. She had a accessory for a while that gave her more XP until I had double license points for everybody. Hey, it's a save point. That's nice. I feel like I could get myself in trouble where I can't get out of here. It'd be a boss fight, right? I have to handle with no items. Hopefully it doesn't spam disable Ga. Stay a moat. Ooh, Miramasa. Neat. Something I can use. A chest that made me feel happy instead of sad. Alright. No whammies, no whammies. It's a Catman. What's up, Catman? Fenrir, okay. This game seems to be particularly egregious with, like, using mythological creatures and just like classic Final Fantasy creature names and just applying them to whatever models they have. A wolf is kind of like a cat man. I might be lucky. This might just be a straight fight. This, knock on wood that in his final phase he doesn't go ham and... It's bad that he has a silence effect though, which I guess I've just been lucky he hasn't hit me yet. Hey. Hoot. Take that, Catman. What you get for creeping around my back stair? Once Andrew and I finish Star Trek, I really want to do a Homestar Runner body of work watch party series on the weekends. Nanny life is hard. It'd be funny if after all that it actually ate my GP. So this is this suggests to me that I got to choose what I wanted to have locked, and I probably picked one of the harder things to lock. Magic, I think, would have maybe been possible by changing everyone's gambits over to items. So everyone can use items, but only specific people can use spells. You who call a vessel of sky would climb higher still. The vessel's way is now master to ascend. Okay. Pilgrim impelled to heaven's heights. Skyward keep your course. This place has a slightly different color grade to it than the other parts of the map. Oh, now am I going to seal magic? I see. Because I get to pick the order in which stuff gets sealed. And then hope that... Magics avail you not. My other choice here is this, probably the attack command gets locked out. Well, I could do items again. Okay. Sort of knowledge. Oh, is that Technics? Oh no, not those. It might be that I just have to do all of them to ascend the full height. Magic field lifts. It's gonna be like no map, basically. I'm basically backtracking now, but maybe it doesn't care because I unlocked a new thing. Yeah, I think this is the wrong way. Alright, well I guess I'll go save now that the boss is dead. Maybe there's somewhere else I could go up on that floor I was just at. You combine this dungeon, which is a bunch of samey rooms repeated over and over, with the crystal in Giruvegan. I wonder if this is when they started running out of money, you know? It seemed like they put a ton of work into, like, Ravenaster and Dalmasca, the deserts outside, that big area with all of the huge, like, machines that you move around. And they were like, fuck. Can't keep making big dungeons like this. I know, what if we have a tower that's basically the same tile set over and over? Oh, I see. Is it that I'm only allowed to use this elevator if... No? Your way's untrodden. This seems to make it sound like pick something other than the one you just picked and then we'll summon the elevator for you, but... I feel like my worth is proven? One of these other ones... Or is it like I have to stay on the one I picked before? I don't think so, because I think when I picked... This was set by default when I came up here and the elevator didn't move. I might ask for help for this one on chat, or I'll Google it here in a second. One of them sounds like it's saying, hey, pick a different thingy, and then an elevator will show up to take you up. See an elevator. This is Pharos. Problem in Pharos 66F. I have to turn them off now? Why would they even give me the option to... Okay. So do the easy thing. It's extremely strange. Let me read that text again to see if it makes sense. You who call the vessel of... When you call the elevator, pass but one. I guess through ways then known, move unhindered, meaning don't have any negative effects on you? Alright. I guess. What were the floors you were climbing in the Shinra Tower? Were they also in the 60s? Keep changing the music, all you like Final Fantasy 12. Is there like some codex entry somewhere that explains why there's a giant, impossibly tall building with a like raging torrent of water in the center? Reach the final sphere. No paths here will you find. The heights you climb, their glyphs. These shall be your guide. The seal of night look first. Not easily this realm to pass. Failing twice, punishment you will face. Doesn't sound good. Don't know. Actually, a lighthouse. A curious light emits from its upper reaches, piercing the darkest nights. Similarities can be seen between the architectural style of the tower and the ruins about it. Okay, thanks for checking. Assume it's this one, because that's the orbs we had to get on the first floor. Maybe? Okay. Android advice, don't fuck it up. Thanks, 12. We already had Worm Fire shot, right? Yeah. Fire Elemental, which we don't want. This Avis is the same model as 14, right? I guess that's kind of what I mean, like this is like a kind of a striking location. Wow, that's a pretty exciting thing to get. Oh my god. I think getting a spell from one of the few, yeah, there it is. Okay, sure he has it. Can I just replace all of my weak against element things with cast flare a bunch? Probably. It's not like just like magic vulnerable, right? Oh, we don't need these steels anymore, so let's get rid of this. Let's see if this is gonna kill my MP or not. It freaks me out when I get an important spell from like one of the random authored chests. How will I get the final boss's unique steel item that does literally nothing? Steal the spoon from the final boss. Couldn't you steal something from Zeromus in Final Fantasy IV that was relevant? Like you could like immediately throw it at him or something? I think it carried over in the Final Fantasy IV Wow, that was the thing that happened. I think the Final Fantasy IV remakes gave you some reason to want to carry that over. Talk about a remake that added a bunch of systems to, like, torture a completionist. I remember liking it in Curse of Darkness, but I don't exactly remember how it works. I think I'm supposed to do this in the order that I ascended the dungeon. Sacrifice green. Sacrifice but purple. Okay. Is it going to be the... Do we operate on the theory of what's a pain in the ass? This one's more out of the way, so it's probably right. I'm just guessing. Okay. Thanks, Manafont Trap. Oh, that's cool. And then is the steel something that you have to manually proc once you meet those conditions? Played Curse of Darkness on stream, but it was like 5 years ago or something. I have no idea what this order is supposed to be. I mean, this was the third floor, was the sacrifice thing, right? Of having to give something up. It looks like it just set me back. So it's like a brute force penalty? I assume this is based on what was going on in the preview. Hold on, can I, like, review the earlier floors? Banishment, First Ascent. The names of the zones don't tell me anything, do they? I have to just remember what the earlier signs said. This is kind of exhausting. I like the idea of this puzzle if going back and reviewing the information from the earlier floors was not such a massive hassle. I think this was right. So it sent me from 81 to 83. I just can't avoid hitting those, like, the way my party is laid out. The computer characters will walk over it every time. It's going to be another... Perfect block all 8 hits from an expanding shockwave. Wow, that's crazy. Well, that wasn't sacrifice. I guess we can try red. I did pick up flare, yes. Gave me a existential crisis that there are important spells like that in random bullshit chests. Red was correct, I guess. Okay. Ultima Blade. Great Swords 3. Is that one of the ones that Bosch can just get? No, it's Great Swords 2. Save the Queen. Classic. Are these all sigils of sacrifice now? Okay, well, this is the sigil that I use on the 3rd floor, if that's what they're going for. So did I understand the puzzle correctly, that it was trying to get me to remember what I did on the earlier floors? I don't understand why I picked a green sigil on the 2nd one and a red sigil on the 3rd one. Were there actually, like, choices in earlier parts of the level that I didn't realize were there? God, this better not be a one-way. It's an alarming waystone. This is just straight up progress. A sidestep the 69th floor. Oh, there may have been stuff in those 2 chests back there. It was either 74 gil or fucking Ultima weapon. 74 gil or holy. Or Mimeko. Hey! Oh, it's a, Esper. Just one of the ones that's in 14... Hashmal? That's cute. Oh, he diseases me. Neato. Super neato. Yeah, I really like the Hashmal fight. So what, the big pillars? Or seems to hit pretty hard. I don't know if it's worth the cast bar though. Looks like it hits for like 4,500. Everybody else is hitting for 2,300 per swing. Mateus is more interesting too. That was the first boss master, right? Ice one. Yeah, and it sounds like the whole thing of cleanse being critical because of how much fucking disease is in the game is something that made sense in the original game because you could just buy all the spells in shops. And here they decided to shuffle them into specific chests. Incredible. Is this the true meaning of video games? I feel like I would like this job system thing much better if it was a toggle. I wonder if they'll ever add it as a toggle. The fact that this is the only way to play the game now, and it's kind of being pitched as like a better way to play it. I guess I don't hate the idea of important and interesting spells being rewards for doing specific optional content, because it's kind of boring for your spells to just come from shops, so you just get all of them when you go from town to town. But at the same time, like you gotta build your game from the ground up on that assumption. You can't just like graft that onto a game that was already built around assuming you have certain spells, you know? Oh, that's what I mean though, like go ahead and release this remaster, and then if you turn on the job system, you get all of the chest shuffling, and I guess maybe you want to turn on the chests in the crystal area not sucking, and the Zodiac Spear not sucking. You don't want to have that level of like control over what is on and off, but
The din of the mist grows greater.
The Suncrest must be near.
I wonder if she'll really do it. Take revenge against the Empire. I mean, I know how she must feel. It's hard,
do you
losing
know
someone
how?
you care about.
Something we all got in common.
But you know, no matter how hard we try, we can't change the past. There's nothing that can bring them back. Still, sometimes when I close my eyes, I can see them so clearly.
Illusions of the past. You think to have cast them off, only to find them years later, unwearying, unrelenting. The past can bind a man as surely as irons. Cut the true path. But will she?
This game has some cool dialogue, and the parts where there is writing seem to be well written. Too little butter over too much bread for me. What does this say? Heaven-bound path. You who master power, wisdom, and mist, not courage. Tower secrets are for you and you alone. Claim them. Chosen, know now the reason of your choosing. It's because I like climbing impossibly tall water torrent towers.
So this is the Suncrest.
Suncrest is a cool name.
King Wraithwall stood here. With this sword, he cut the Suncrest and took its power in his hand.
But you're going to use the sword to destroy the Suncrest,
Thank you, Vaughn.
aren't you, Ash?
Don't interrupt me, Vaughn.
Graphics. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Vaughn.
Lord Rassler.
You want revenge? You would have me use the stone?
Hastega is huge, I think.
You would have me destroy the Empire?
Even just in
Is
terms
this
of
my
like being
duty?
able
Is
to
this what you want?
top off on
I
Kuraja
cannot.
constantly.
Why do you hesitate?
Still hear Andrea saying duty in the
Take
back
what
of my
is
head.
yours. The Christ is a blade. It was meant for you.
Oh yeah, judges are a thing in this game.
Wield it. Avenge your father.
It kind of seemed like they were the main deal for a while, and they just kind of dropped out.
Yes, it was I who wore Bashi's face, who cut down the life of Dalmasca. Lady Ash, your father's murderer is here.
You and Rex!
I slew your king. I slew your country. Do these
Ash's
deeds not
brother.
demand vengeance? Yes, good. Find your wrath.
Do you think he had to
Take up
solve all
your
the puzzles?
sword, fight, and serve those who died before you.
A Judge Magister there was. 2 years passed. He took in his hand the Midlight Shard, stolen from Nabradya, and used it not knowing what he did. And Nabudis was blown away. Sid ordered this of him, to learn the Nethicite's true power. That man swore never to let such terrible power be used again. He forsook his Judicious plate and his name.
Was that you?
Judge Zect.
What? That's cool.
It's been too long, Gabranth. Reach out your hand, Lady Ash. But remember, that which you must grasp is something beyond
I guess all the
revenge,
guest
something
characters
greater
have
than
agency,
despair.
don't they?
Something beyond our reach. Try as we might, Gabranth. History's chains bind us too tightly.
Like Ash does too.
No, we cannot escape the past. This man is living proof.
Zek is a
What
cool
is your
JRPG
past,
name.
daughter of Damaska? Did you not swear revenge? Do the dead not demand it?
Zek is like Zell dinked. Yeah, you beat him up, Fawn. Cast a rise on him. Maybe he's undead. Wouldn't be the first Final Fantasy to make a bunch of important characters undead all out of nowhere. I guess that wasn't out of nowhere. It's pretty well set up in that game, but Andrea likes to make fun of it.
Wrestler. My prince. Our time was short. Yet I know this. You are not the kind to take base revenge! The wrestler I knew is gone.
You are our saint, Tashalia Benargan.
Oh, Ghost
You must use the Nethicite.
Wrestler has
You must be the one
been
to
an
strengthen
asshole Lucario the whole
history's
time.
wave.
I am no false saint for you to use.
Ash.
She's not going to do the thing.
In all Dalmasca's long history, not once did we rely on the Dusk Shard. Our people resolved never to use it, though their need might be dire. That was the Dalmasca I wanted back. To use the stone now would be to betray that. I will destroy the Suncrest.
Oh, okay.
I will discard the stone.
Cool.
In your need of power? What of your broken kingdom's shame? The dead demand justice!
You're wrong. What would change? I can't help my brother now. My brother's gone. He's dead.
See, it's like he had an arc, but it's like he wormholed to the end of his
Even
arc.
with power, we cannot change what is past.
Right?
What is done is done.
You take his character arc and you fold it, and you poke
Yet
a pencil
without
through it.
power, what future can you claim? What good a kingdom you cannot defend?
Then I will defend Queen and Kingdom both.
Ha! Defend? You? You who failed Landis and Dalmasca. What can shame hope to keep safe? Your shield is shattered. Your oaths poison those you would protect.
Two swords. Alright, I want to come and see what the Hashmal Esper gates. Nothing I care about. Nothing. Nothing. be blind. That's Shemazai. Oh, nothing. Okay. Ocean Lore 3. I already have this White Magic 4, unfortunately. It's a pretty good one, too. Channeling. Well, I'll take that one. So it answers the question for me. This is the best possible time to do my gambits, or my license board, right when a boss fight just started. There's a decent chance this Serenity one is actually going to pay off when she's casting Flare at the start of combat. Alright, let's see if I get wrecked immediately here.
Hear me, Bosh. Do not think killing the Kingslayer will win you back your honor. When you abandoned home and kin, your name was forever stained with blood.
Aye. This stain is mine to bear.
Whoa.
But I will bear it willingly, knowing that I did all that I could.
Cool camera shit.
Preen and strut as you like. In the end, we are the same. Bloodthirsting carrion birds. Hellbent on revenge.
Sounded like, Vaughn's kind of okay. Well, I guess Bosch is still not.
So you, too, would leave your debts unpaid.
Enough of this! I can bear no more.
Hey, it's our boy.
You disappoint me, Gabranth.
What?
He trusted you. When you bared steel against the princess, you forswore your obligations to your emperor. You shame yourself and make mockery of Lord Lars's trust. You are unfit to serve him as sword or shield, and so I release you from that service. Your presence is neither required nor welcome.
Oh, that's good. He's about to lose.
Gabranth!
Sid is the bad guy is such a fun idea.
You were only a tool of this Venar.
How quaint. We are allies. The Acuria give men power as a master feeds his dog. It is meant to tame us. How well you've resisted their wile.
I like that he's not just a bad guy named Sid, like he's still a Sid-like character.
To write our own history.
And at what price? Dalmasca's freedom for your Nethicite? I shall not suffer you to have it.
I guess they gave him a stand.
Be sure that it is! For what other purpose do you think you brought us here? But, my lady, I would have you stay your Acurian sword. The Suncrist is glutted with mist, and so precious a thing must not be squandered. Let us use the stone! Finish this for now!
Well. So this thing's basically Auracite. Is that the thing that summons the monster Lucavi things in Fantasy Tactics?
Shards of Nethicite, cocoon of the Suncrist, spill forth your mist upon this evil east. Let's see its sky be awash in it, that Bahamut may come and drink his fill.
Oh. Bahamut. That's cool. Wait, so like, okay. What is the connection between Final Fantasy Tactics Advance Ivalice, Final Fantasy 12 Ivalice, and Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice, if any?
How brightly burned their lanthorn.
Are they full-on anthology, or are they implied to be thousands of years apart or something?
That man's history shall be his alone.
You made your Nethicite for this. You mimic the Acuria Stone for what? To become a god yourself?
On whose shoulders better to stand than those of the would-be gods? Ah, such high hopes I once had, but you ran and they with you. Alas, the hour of your return is late. Come, Famrin, revel in the glory of my triumph!
The Famrin. "12 is the distant advanced past. Tactics is the medieval-like period after the fall. Tactics advanced is the modern advanced world, and the video game world you visit is fake." Yeah, because I was under the impression that FFTA was like, what if these real people in the real world visited the world of Final Fantasy XII, kind of? It is one of my favorite tutorials in video games, the snowball fight at the beginning of Tactics Advance 1. You don't need no god power, he doesn't need a stand. He has a Gatling gun.
Behold the manufactured nethicite, the fruit of our power and knowledge. See what the stone of man is capable of. Witness its power with your own eyes. Fanfreed to me!
I think it's just Hastega, yeah. I think I was right in saying that that's probably going to be the most impactful spell I can spend time on. Get health bar for Famford, do I? I see the one below his model, but I think I'm supposed to be focusing him, so it's frustrating that it just says the sit one. I guess I can just manually set them all to attack until this guy dies. Setting all their gambits up would be annoying. They all have multiple gambits, unfortunately. They all need to be specified. If I turn off their gambits and just set them to attack while they continue to auto-attack... Yeah, but I'd have to change that for all their abilities, is the problem. This might hurt. Yeah, it wasn't too great. Let's scroll past it.
Oh, am I out of echo herbs? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I had like 99 of them. There must have been a bunch of enemies doing it earlier in this dungeon. Well, I guess I can remedy myself. Which of them has higher max each? I guess I could just... hold on. I thought I was going to burn the boss down a little bit faster than I have been. Dr. Sid is no longer immune to magic. This guy's a pretty cool fight in 14 too, right? With the water jug. I feel like 14 was like, hey, what does the design imply in terms of what its mechanics should be? It's kind of cool. Well, Bosch is about to die. Suck it. Give me your water jug.
No pity for me! Stand and fight!
Poor Sid. I'm gonna steal your Esper. No problem. Do you like that they brought back the word Esper? I think it's my favorite word for a summon monster. The worst one is clearly Guardian Force.
Let him by, Fenar. It is done. Ah, how I have enjoyed these 6 years.
The pleasure was all mine.
Was there no other way? Huh. Spend your pity elsewhere. If you are so set on running, hadn't you best be off, fool of a pirate?
Bye, Dad.
Fran? Fran!
Should you go all Wookiee rage on us again here?
The mist burns to bursting. It beats. The cocoon.
Elder Tad God.
The Suncrist bursts. You must run as far as you can.
Easy, Fran.
Hadn't you best be off? That's what a sky pirate does. You fly.
Yeah, I agree,
Don't
Ravenon.
you?
I was thinking that exact thing, like... Man, I wish I cared about that more. The game had made me care about that more. Because
you'd
it's
better
a
hang
good
on
scene. In isolation. Just like Vaughn being like, oh, you know,
Ash,
I don't
the
need to get
sword!
revenge for my brother.
We
He's
have to
gone.
stop it.
Well, that would work. If it had been built up.
You must quit this place.
The emotion and the character relationships are there in the story.
Nay, never this large. Never such threat impendent. For Nabudis.
Redis!
Thanks, Zect. It's actually Zeldinkt.
Redis, no!
Just with the LL and the
Condemn you to oblivion!
DIN removed. He'll get hot dogs in his afterlife. It's actually quiet in game here. Thanks, Redis. I'm bummed you're not a guest character anymore.
Redis.
You will now have the option of saving your game. How could he die? In a non-specific way. We'll be lucky if we earn a not disappointed from him. I'm sure they'll discover what it is they need to do in time.
Al-Cid?
We let ourselves inside. The situation is one demanding some haste.
Al-Cid, the good Cid.
How did you know where we were?
My little birds, they tell me many, many things.
Bravosi.
My lady, the war begins now.
Then you were unsuccessful in stopping the Rosarian fleet?
I used a variety of methods. All went according to plan until it came time to request withdrawal of our most devoted generals. In their enthusiasm for war, our great military leaders went behind my back straight to Marquis Sandor's resistance.
The Resistance?
During training, a division of the Resistance ignored their orders and disappeared. They were next found exchanging broadsides with the Imperials over Old Nabradia.
Why would they go there? They were asking to be found.
You misunderstand. Those ships must surely belong to Rosarian Division. They may have joined Gondor's resistance forces as patriots or even mercenaries, but in reality they are regulars of the Rosarian army, under direct command of our war pavilion. This fifth column has invaded Imperial airspace and provoked a response.
That's a lot of shit that happened.
His Excellency the Marquis was obliged to give his main fleet the order to attack. And the battleground is Dalmasca.
Should this fight drag on, Rosaria will enter the fray. The defense of Dalmasca is their excuse, and we will have a war between empires.
Correct.
I've been joking about like things happening off screen in this game, but that was a lot that happened while we were climbing a lighthouse.
Between his hands.
Vayne holds the Dusk Shard no longer. His advantage is lost.
Vayne
yes,
has
Pinello.
advantages enough.
You know.
He stands on higher ground, and my birds tell me he has awoken something quite large. Bahamut, Lord of the Sky. There was a stirring in the mist, in the direction of Ridorana, I am told. Bahamut awoke soon after this.
Bahamut.
It is the mist that came before the crystal was undone. It breathed life into this Bahamut. If Rethus had not stopped it when he did, how much more mist might it have drunk? All went according to Dr. Sid's designs.
Well, shit.
Yes, the man's last great accomplishment.
Seems like it was useless that we were up there.
And so it falls to me to put an end to the thing.
Vayne commands Bahamut himself.
So Bahamut's not
He comes to
an Esper. It's like an airship.
Then I will defend Dalmasca and stop this Bahamut. This is my charge.
That's our charge, actually.
It's our home. It belongs to us all.
Requisite Vaughn commentary.
And my charge.
It really feels like his actor has like a contract that he has to appear in 17% of every episode of the TV series.
I will do what I can. Ah, yes. When this unpleasantness is done, you must come to Rosaria. I will take you to the Amber Vale of Clan Margrace. Such things I will show you. Until then, I will be waiting.
Help Redis get up there so he could. The Imperial Sky Fortress. Okay, cool. Because that's consistent with their naming structure of the classic Final Fantasy summons are names for vehicles. Strahl can now travel to Bahamut. It's that old like Newgrounds Flash animation about the pronunciation of Bahamut. How I get to the Mana Fortress, right? No new things. I think Bahamut is accurate, right? Tiamat. I feel weird just pronouncing it Bahamut though. It's like pronouncing croissant correctly. When I used to work at Subway, people would come in and order their sandwich. They'd have like a really heavy, like southern drawl. that they'd always pronounce jalapenos correctly. Get some of that mayonnaise sauce. Get some of that, some of them pepperonis. Can I get some of them jalapenos? Ridership. Bahamut. Once you leave for Bahamut, you will not be able to return. Thanks, game. Alright, let me just make a before Bahamut save. Oh, yeah. Oops. And restock on remedies in Phoenix Downs. Is there no shop option once you go to the dungeon?
This wind, what could it be?
We're gonna try subbing at her a remedy.
A tornado? Tornado? It's headed right for us!
Graphics. Looks pretty good now.
Make your target the Resistance heavy cruiser.
Our dear Cid, slain by his son.
Am I going to be in trouble for not having Echo Herbs if I just sub out that Gambit for remedies?
Firing solution complete. Sighting is good.
It's like silence a big problem in here.
Nether sights are critical.
Auxiliary show clear.
Put an end to this. They have already surrendered.
Let us make of this an offering. One he might see even now. Vinar, what say you?
The main battery stands ready.
I like Cid much better as an ultimate antagonist than this guy. That's pretty neat.
Why this?
Once they see
One
that there
big
can be
fuck
no
off
surrender,
gun.
the Resistance must needs come at us with all they have. We will answer their attack head-on and destroy them, before the eyes of all Rabanastre.
If you do this, the people will only grow to hate you the more.
And should I pardon them, they will only rise up yet again.
I do not believe they would. In cooperation lies
Yeah, I feel like you showed up, you have a giant fucking gun, and they'd be like, oh, our bad.
mistaken.
I love his idea that now that we've
You were
shown
wrong,
that
brother.
we have nukes, now they're gonna rush us.
And if I am? You had best find the strength you need to correct me then.
Ship sighted ahead. A score or more. The Resistance fleet, my lord.
Hear this! Today we write the first page of a new history. Our history. Each of you must play his part. Put down this rebellion. For Arcadia, we fight!
For Arcadia!
May fortune favor us all.
Thanks, Larsa. Right. Orthros. Hey, it's just like the prequels. There's something to be said for lowering the chaos in a scene like this.
Give word to the cannons.
Like, you know,
Make ready and fire.
6 X-Wings versus the Death Star. A handful of fighters against the Independence Day ships.
We have a clean line. Prepare the second volley. Be quick. By the gods.
That seems pretty destructive.
Carrier Gallifard. She's lost.
Yeah, Galif, that's fun. A huge chunk of my Final Fantasy joy from the names of the airships. That's
Uncle, it is I. I'm crossing to the Bahamut to stop Vane.
What are you saying? You are too rash. Your duties come after the battle is over.
If we allow them to destroy us here, there will be no
You're not.
after.
You don't get
must
to
resist
participate
our
in this
charge.
story.
Stop! You must pull back. Stop the stroll.
Hold it! I mean, wait! This is Master Solidor. I'm going in with her, so we're fine. I got the princess covered.
Larsa Solidor? So you hold him as a hostage?
No, Uncle. He will fight with us against Vane. Leave it to us.
You got a couple characters in this game that are using an unusual accent, like Fran.
Understood.
It sounds
Our
like
fate is in your hands.
Indian.
Yes. I got the princess covered.
Well, I should say that. We're relying on you for fire support. Give them something to think about. We'll pick our moment and make our move.
Vaughn helped. I don't know if their voice direction was to intentionally, like, not mimic a real-world English accent.
Quite the welcome. Careful.
One follows.
Ah, you want to dance? Then let's dance.
A new partner.
It's not easy being this popular, you know.
Cool cutscene.
There it is.
Come on. Come on.
Did they plant a voice changer device? Maybe. That'd be nice. If it was something that was set up. I don't remember though.
Vane will be in the fortress's command tower. I saw something of the like on our way in here. Right above our heads.
We need not fight all the Empire to win. If we can get to Vane, we can put an end to this war.
Oh, cool.
Let's
I'm
get
glad
going
it was
then.
there.
Find Vane wherever
Props
he's
to the
perched
game.
and knock him off.
That's alarming. Did I actually have them the whole time? No. Dude from Kansas. Yep. Fran is from Australia. I could do self status equals bad. I guess I could use something else in that case. Is this the final dungeon? The only other thing I remember from this game, other than Sid being a bad guy, was that there was a weird
Spoilers!
non sequitur, like, stand dungeon. It was like the little ghost guys. Oh, maybe that was Giru Vegan. Why do I not remember this at all? I must have been thinking of Giru Vegan. Yeah, Curians, that's their name. How many ethers do I have? Okay, let me, Fran, you gonna turn that shit down for a bit? Oh, the Disney World monorail. Nice. Kinda nice to have Larsa as a guest here. Really? That's funny. I feel like this game is almost written to be... difficult to remember the specifics of the story, right? It's hard to separate that from the whole I only played it once and very quickly over the course of a weekend when it came out. But like, I feel like I remembered, I don't know, Twilight Princess, which I also played over a weekend better than this.
Is this their worst?
I only played once.
The line is drawn.
Line must be drawn here.
The Resistance fights their battle well. We dare not fail them. We dare not falter.
Stop worrying. We just have to clean up
Thanks,
here.
Fran.
And then Ash will be the queen.
It's kind of hard to believe.
Oh, it's also Akbar?
I can't
That's
even
fun.
imagine
That
trying
is
to rule
fitting.
a whole kingdom.
A queen might always run away with the help of a sky pirate looking to raise his bounty a peg.
I doubt our queen would need the help of any sky pirates.
Do you really think me as strong as all that?
Who said anything about strong? You'll make it. You got good friends.
Friendship is magic. Sort of. Really nice if everybody dropped Phoenix Downs and Ethers. Ooh, almost at X potions. That could be bad. Yeah, not restocking before coming in here may have been a fatal error. Trying to save as many of these as I can get away with. Like I've already been here, right? I really don't have time to screw around being lost. Right. No, I can understand that out of concern of them burning through them, but my thought is like, well, the game throws me at vendors often enough and I can just stock it back up to 99. Otherwise, I'll never use those items anyway. And I certainly wouldn't do it if I wasn't playing the Zodiac job mode, right? Because I would just cover all of my item bases with spells. It's just that Bosch is the only one who can do any of that. Alright, well, I'll be careful where I go to now, I guess. These guys just keep spawning because I kind of need to find out where I'm supposed to go. Assume it's this. Hey, it's a big battle barge. This shit still kind of drives me crazy when I can't input the command even though it gives me the exclamation point. I think it's like if they're in the middle of a spell or a gambit, you can't do it.
So you have lived.
Capronth? Okay.
I am Judge Magister.
It's not very...
Even in disgrace, my just reward for aiding the empire that destroyed my homeland.
Gabranth, do not blame yourself anymore.
You gonna forgive him?
You confound me, brother. You failed Landis. You failed Damaska. All you were to protect. Yet you still hold on to your honor. How?
I
Not
have
a
someone
dick?
more important to defend. And defender I have. How is it that you have survived? Is it not because you defend Lord Larsa?
Silence! All was stripped from me. Only hatred for the brother who fled our
See, I feel like they're
homeland
underdeveloped
remains
too.
mine.
Bosch and Gerpronth.
Tell me, why did you forsake that which
They're
you
better
must hold
developed than
most
Sid and
precious?
Balthier, but
I do as I must, brother. Or is that not answer enough?
I feel like that could be super compelling.
Futile Bosch. Long have I walked in hatred's company. As long as I can curse your name, I shall not be defeated.
Then come. Wield
Neat.
your hatred and crush me. I welcome it.
Fran cast silence on you, so.
Your life ends at my blade.
Attack. Oh, I have 91 Phoenix Downs. I don't have to disable that. I don't know why Bosch hasn't been casting Kiraja. Hold on, I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, it feels like it should be triggering sooner. Maybe just committed on another attack or something.
Your life ends at my blade.
You think he's gonna go all Darth Maul on you, but then he just used two swords separately. Just wants to show off that they connect technically. Poor Fran. Oh, Flair did it there.
Have you your fill of this?
I would ask you the same. Let this end, Noah.
Then
I have no right to be called by that name.
Then live and reclaim it.
oh, that's nice. I don't hate that. It's a really good thing he showed up on this combat barge that has room for fighting. Are there no save points in here? I guess that makes sense, so you can't lock yourself out.
I bid you welcome to my sky fortress, the Bahamut. I must apologize for my delay in welcoming you aboard my ship.
This guy had a great introduction. Like, I love that cutscene where he's like trying to
Permit me to ask.
get the townspeople on his side, and then they just kind of dropped him for a long
Who
time.
are you? An angel of vengeance? Or perchance a saint of salvation?
I'm Ash.
I am simply myself.
Ash Ketchum.
No more and no less. And I want only to be free.
Such a woman is not fit to bear the burden of rule. Weep for Dalmasca, for she is lost. Observe well, Larsa. Watch and mark you, the suffering of one who must rule, yet lacks the power.
No. No, brother. I will not. Though I lack your power, I will still persist.
I kind of wish he wasn't a guest character up to this point.
Bold words, child.
We fucked him up.
Lord Larsa.
You know, I was just thinking, I did one of the endgame quests in RuneScape, and like, even though it's RPG combat, something about the way they present in-game character deaths feels really weighty, right? Like, an NPC will show up and there'll be this big like 99 damage hit splat, and it'll make like the character death sound effect, and you're like, wow, that dude fucking died. But you play a JRPG like this where combat is like swinging at the guy's toe for 20 minutes. And you're like, did I kill him? Did I knock him out? Is he bleeding? Like, you can't really feel the weight of combat like this. I guess some games will like have a cutscene. They'll like convert your RPG battle into the main character running up and stabbing him in the stomach or something, right? Looks like I beat the shit out of Sid twice. One time he was fine, the other time he like turned into a crystal ghost.
Will fall.
Whoa! Broke my screen. What is this, Battletoads? I just get obliterated in the cutscene. We're gonna summon a guy? Are we gonna fight Vidal?
Lord Brother! Larsa!
What did you expect? I don't think your armor can support how buff you're getting, dude. Okay.
Manufactured nethicite.
Oh, yeah. It'll do anything. Looks like Mickey Rourke.
Behold the power left me by our fallen friend.
A lot of swords. I unfortunately missed the Gilgamesh fight in this game. That was a highlight for me when I played this before. I like the remix of Battle on the Big Bridge.
Gabranth, you will defend my brother.
This is one of the first games to establish that when you see Gilgamesh, it's the same Gilgamesh, right? Maybe one of the Game Boy Advance remakes of like FF6 that included it.
Yes, I will defend Lord Larsa.
The hound strays. Treason bears a price.
One I gladly pay.
Yay, that's fun. A very Darth Vader. I
don't remember this at all. I thought Sid was the final boss. Or I thought there was some, like, Vana dungeon. Oh, Vane Novus. Okay. Saphira. Sure. These all have different elemental weaknesses, basically. It's kind of neat. Okay, so Gabranth doesn't count as a guest character, I guess. I feel like the real final boss of this game is doing the hunts. Playing this as like an arcade Final Fantasy. Oh, is this in the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion?
Ivalice will know a new dynast king, and man will keep his own history. The tyranny of the gods.
Oh, does he have a really high defense that's ignored by the guns?
The freedom for which we have longed is at hand. We shall perish. Highest level enemy in the whole story. Vayne is immune to magic.
Swords of light, minions strong. Dance in the sky, unleash your cold fury. I will wield you. I will sever the lives of those who call upon the flame.
That's a cool attack.
Make them as dust.
200 damage. Blocked. Okay. Limit break. I really liked Vayne in the introductory cutscene we had from him, but I feel like
even a stray has pride.
We've seen him occasionally since then, just kind of like plotting in the throne room. But...
Here I pay my debt.
Burn in hell! Governance!
Oh, thanks, Larsa. That would have been fine for Gabranth to die there. Although he also didn't really, like, do anything. What? There's that 17% contract. It's like, oh right, Vaughn. Yeah, they didn't spend enough time making me hate him, right? Or at least make me excited to confront him. We had fewer scenes with Sid, and I was more interested in Sid. I guess like Ultimecia and Zeromus are like completely random out of left field enemies, but like he's enough not out of left field that it's weird that they just kind of drop him midway through the game or talk about the stuff going on around him. You get a lot of stuff with Sid and Vana too, so when he can like teleport behind you and summon Famford and stuff, it feels earned.
I am no Dynast king. You must find another, one who might realize your ambitions.
They are fulfilled beyond your knowing.
Skin looks like a basketball.
Age of Stones complete. From the Undying Ones, the world is freed.
Right, they clearly expect us to care about Vayne, and they clearly expect us to be like, Zeromus, what the fuck?
Together we go.
Right. That's a good way to summarize why this game feels weird to me, is that I keep getting signals of what I think the developer intention is, and then not a corresponding game mechanic or story pacing element to set that up properly, if that makes sense. Maybe it's the kind of thing that if you're the sort of person that when you consume media, you're like willing to meet them halfway and fill in the blanks on their behalf.
History begins anew.
No, which props if you do that, because you probably get to enjoy way more media. I feel like a snob sometimes. I guess it's the same thing where it feels to me like if you set things up, then people who are willing to meet the developer halfway are still going to be happy, right? It's not like picking one side or the other. Graphics. I hate to keep bringing up Final Fantasy X. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy, but it's hard to like overstate how invested I was in Jecht by the end of that game, and Yevon by the end of that game, even though the Yevon fight is like a victory lap. Like, I gave a shit about that, and the game spent a lot of time making me give a shit about it. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Why, though? The Undying. Sure. This guy technically flying? Okay, I was to say, that would be so mean. Yeah. I feel like him turning super buff was already, like, enough. I'm all about bosses having a ridiculous number of increasingly over-the-top phases. I don't remember this at all, man. I really thought we were on our way to the credits there. Why did they not give him a health bar? The World of Bahamut will today be played by Heisenberg from Resident Evil 8. It's just immune to everything right now. interesting. Like the whole party had guns, basically. Well, that's not good. Shit, this is really bad. Hopefully it saved right outside this fight.
I can't.
Well, that's annoying. Let's see where it puts me. Okay, that's... I was really worried there. Yeah, thanks, autosave. I'm guessing in the base game there, with no autosave, you would just go back to the save crystal in the aerodrome? Yeah. Especially given that the previous couple boss fights have not given you any reason to expect problems, right? Sounds awful. Mega Flare. Chain magic. Because we're having bubble would be really nice. Into magic. We'll lose here and never play the game again. There you go. Piercing Dispel. That may have been part of what got me in trouble before. Piercing Holy, just ignore your, like, all the piercing abilities, just ignore your elemental resistances, basically.
So he's in rage now. Dispel clears everything on an enemy, right? Into physical. That means the only way to do damage is casting a flare now for a bit. Giga Flare's sword. Cool. Vanish is a straight evasion boost. I don't know if that's going to matter in this fight, to be honest. Oh, it's used this in combat. Okay. It seemed to be useless when I was trying to use it earlier to avoid enemies. And I never found Holy. Was that like another secret chest somewhere? Somewhere? That's too bad. Is paling permanent, or is it just going to drop eventually? It doesn't have an indicator, unfortunately. It's not based on like health, just after some number of seconds it's going to wear off. Okay. Nice. That thing that makes you do more damage with magic at full health is a big deal. It's like double damage or something. She happens to be Kiraja at the moment she casts it. Perfect defense. Immune to magic. Oh, is that a thing that it just does occasionally? Is immune to both for a while? Really likes to dispel everybody, doesn't he? Oh, nice, Leon. Stop casting Dispel Good, Dick. Have like Brave on right now. It's
I don't know if it even shows me his current status effects. I just have to wait for his full immunity to wear off, right? Because it will wear off eventually. Oh, Terra Flare. Cool. Cool and also rad. Does Quicken do damage through this? This might kill me, we'll see. I have Shelga up. I'm gonna try to summon something there just to kill one character instead of 3, but see what happens. Did he already dispel my bubble? I think he did. What a dick. Oh, hey. Physical immunity finally wore off. That's nice. We're ever gonna get out of maintenance mode with healing. Still no buffs as far as I can tell. Piercing Dispel Gun. May as well try it. I don't think it's been doing a ton of damage lately, but it's meter I'm not using otherwise, right? Like, queuing it's not going to get me killed. Oh, shit. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully it works.
It ends now.
You can set the battle speed low to wait out the paling with no threat. What's the reroll button? Is it A? Mischarge is Y. Okay. We want to try to get as many pips as possible. I think I hate the quickening mechanic. It seems like it's like the worst possible version of like boost from Final Fantasy VIII.
I must endure.
Especially since you're not getting any indicator of how much damage you're doing during these animations, right? If I was getting damage numbers each time or something, I might hate it less. Right trigger is shuffle. Yeah, it's just, it feels kind of random, and it's a lot of like watching cutscenes. Sure, I see what you're saying. Astri, how you doing? This is all going to come out, it's going to do like 2,000 damage. Prepping for that to be the case. It's good to hear. $2170 damage. Oh, that's more than that. That ended the fight, that's nice. Graphics. You get a lot of extra time for every attack you get. Oh, I see. That's crazy. No, he's gonna have a fourth phase. Wings of My Own, achievement unlocked. He wasn't that terrible of a mecha angel demon roided out man. He was still my brother. Ron is relevant. I'm glad the sky battle kind of stopped when they all saw the machine angel die. He's just trying to go straight and get his kids back. It drives you to certain ends, you know?
Well, can we fly?
No fuel goes to the Glossair engines.
Sometimes you make an infernal deal with an ancient rebel ghost.
Fran, with me.
Roid you the fuck out.
Look! Bahamut's Glossair rings are stopping!
Vaughn, as soon as the Strahl's rings move, you take off. Understood? You can fly her, Vaughn.
So at the end of the story,
Don't worry.
whose objectives were
Watch for
met?
interference from Bahamut's sky storm.
Ultimately.
Strahl's a fickle girl. You keep her working for us.
I'll see what I can do.
The non-Vana Akuria? Are they happy? I think they are.
Bosh, look after Lhasa, will you? If House Solidor should crumble, the Empire would fail, and civil war would take us all.
I understand.
The Lord Lhasa is our last
Yeah.
hope.
Doesn't seem like Vana's... I mean... I guess he turns you into a Roid Angel, but other than that...
We can go.
Right. Let's go.
Hashtag Vana did nothing
Grab
wrong.
onto something.
Sir, it's the Stroll. She's
Yeah,
left
yeah,
Bahamut.
I'm with you.
She's moving away.
The Stroll. They made it. At last. The Bahamut
That's what I'm
has
asking
fallen.
though, is like, did the heroes change anything by beating him up after the
The
fact?
judges shall rule us no more.
Beat the fascism at least, that's good.
This is Judge Magister Gabon. All forces cease fire.
That's a little bit more hopeful than like going and beating up Kefka after he already destroyed the world.
Is over.
And it's kind of a just
As of
cause
this
thing,
moment,
right?
We have signed a ceasefire with the Shelia Benargan Dalmasca, the Royal Majesty.
A lot of value out of that.
Attention. This is Larsa Farina Solidor.
My brother
But for
Vane
real.
has died with honor in battle. The Imperial fleet is now under my command.
Sir, your orders, sir.
You don't hate Larsa. You're a good dictator.
The Lady Ash. Thank the gods you live.
I confirm what Judge Magister Cabranth and Larsa Solidor have said here.
Please stand down your attack.
Yeah.
The war is over.
So Vanal won.
Ivalice looks to the horizon.
A new day has dawned.
Give me a
We are free.
what's the version of Shades of Grey from the sociopath's perspective? Give me a version of Final Fantasy 12 from Sid's perspective, where he's the protagonist. Yeah.
Look, Vaughn, the Bahamut.
50 Shades of Grey.
A message from the Alexander. Take it, sir.
This is Judge Zargabath, captain of the Alexander.
Zargabath, I think is the funniest judge name.
I address all ships in Ravanasta's airspace.
Yeah, he's the best character.
Must not be allowed to fall on the city of Ravanasta. We are preparing to ram her. Do not interfere.
Madness.
Should she fall, the paling will not hold, and all Ravanasta will be obliterated.
Seems bad.
All ships, concentrate your fire on the Alexander's remains once Bahamut is clear of the city.
Hasty, aren't they? I think it's a little early to be throwing away our lives just yet.
Balthier? Wait! Balthier, where are you?
Oh, Vaughn. Sounds like you made it out okay. The Strahl's a fine airship, eh?
What does he think he's doing? Balthier!
Marquis, stop that fool judge on the Alexander for me, would you? Just getting somewhere with these glossair rings. Almost done. Don't want him ramming me before I fix them, do we?
Balthier, do you understand
This is
exactly
a
what it is
cool
you're
and
doing?
emotional scene.
Princess, no need to worry. I hope you haven't forgotten my role in this little story. The leading man. You know what they say about the leading man? He never dies.
I was kind of hoping he was going to die there. It would be, like, nice for Balthier.
Let's fly! Fran, power to the glossair rings. Fran? Do I have to do everything around here?
Listen to me, Balthier. Get out of Bahamut immediately.
Isn't the RTS game about Balthier and Fran?
Please, Balthier. Come back.
I'd say you're in more of a supporting role.
Fran, please.
Oh, really? I thought it was about Sky Pirates.
Vaughn!
Oh, God.
The Strahl's in your hands. You'd better take care of her, you hear? If there's one scratch on her when I get back...
Roger that. We'll be waiting for you.
Say my love is all you need to see you through. But I know these words are
It's hard to believe a year has passed so quickly. Rabanastre is finally back to the way it was, like when my parents were still alive. We've lost so much, but I think it's important to put the past behind us and keep our eyes on the road ahead.
Crash Bahamut's pretty cool. Yeah, if this is supposed to be a prequel to Tactics, and
she grows farther and farther away from us, but I guess that's how it has to be. She is queen now, after all.
And then Ash is a regular Robert Baratheon. Not a good ruler.
I am looking forward to seeing you at the ceremony.
You called, my lord.
Destroys the realm. Her and Larsa. Moogles used to live here before they went extinct.
I know he went with you to Arcades to further the cause of peace in Ivalice, but still, I hope
We're just okay with Larsa being the Emperor, because he's not a dick.
She has to keep up appearances now, so she would never say it, but I think she misses him.
Maybe he's gonna dissolve it here, and that's what this is.
And we lose the Empire. Protect him. I would entrust him to no other's care.
I will keep him from harm. I promise you. For the Empire and for Damascus.
I guess it's probably good for, like, stability,
Your words
but...
put me at ease, brother. Sorry to leave you.
Time goes by, I know you'll see. This is me.
Oh man, they, like, gave Gabrant, like, 3 outs there to not die earlier.
Oh, I haven't told you the most important part.
For him to die in flash-forward flashback.
Fauna had been taking care of the straw, but it was stolen. We had just finished having her tuned up, too. What's it say? Give it here.
All your fears into the sky.
Fine.
Actually, stolen might not be the right word. If her owner wants her back, there's not much we can do about it, is there? There's still plenty of time before the coronation. So Vaughn's going to pay the two of them a visit. You should see him. He can hardly wait. I'll be going too, of course. Every good sky pirate needs a partner, right?
The true main character was Penelo all along. Who'd have seen it coming? I could totally see that working in a different game that was structured differently, where, like, this clearly unimportant side character is giving the, like, you know, peasant's eye view of how the world has changed for regular folks at the end of the story. But yeah, I didn't hate Final Fantasy XII on this playthrough. It's clearly a good game, probably even an awesome game. Like, it's got a lot of work put into its systems, and it looks very polished. It's very pretty. A lot of good cutscenes. It has some good writing in the parts that are written. But I feel weirdly empty playing this game. I don't feel that the game like made me care about its characters. It had scenes that I could imagine a differently presented game me being invested in. Like we were saying, the relationship between Cid and Balthier, and like they did a decent job with Fran and her people. I think we had enough scenes for that to work a little bit better. I think I'm a Sky Privateer. Yeah, I definitely came out of this game with a much more negative opinion than I had of it from playing it on launch 15 years ago. And I don't think everyone should. I know a lot of people like this game a lot. I don't think you're wrong for that. I just think it's a game that is not whole if you're not engaging with all of the optional content of doing all of the hunts. Like, I think that that's a really significant part of what makes this game good. And if you just like sit on the critical path, you're missing a lot from the game. It almost feels like it's two things. It's this like political drama that is basically almost entirely disconnected from the main party, and has some cool like setting ideas and plot concepts. And then there's this like very almost arcadey single player MMO JRPG element with all the hunts and the super bosses and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true for a lot of RPGs. Like, if you spend X hours beating the critical path of Final Fantasy X, you could spend another X hours maxing out, getting everyone's ultimate weapons and maxing out the monster arena and that kind of a thing. But I don't think that, like, a critical path playthrough of Final Fantasy X is really diluted by the fact that you didn't do the full monster arena, right? Whereas I feel in this game, if you didn't do all the hunts, that's the game. Like, it's very, very odd. Like, I didn't feel... I guess maybe I was grading like Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 on a curve because they were NES games. So the fact that the story was pretty light didn't really like bother me too much in those games. But I think it's that weird dissonance of like conveyed designer intent of what I should be caring about and what's emotional, with a lack of like associated setup to that point. I think that with more side content, the main story's pacing gets better. See, I felt like just sticking to the critical path for the most part, that it felt like you would go for a really, really long time of just running around a dungeon, auto-attacking shit with gambits. Like, it would sometimes be hours before you'd get another, like, bit of dialogue or story or anything. So maybe doing the side content, like, further spreads that out, so, like, you're really hungry for a voice-acted scene when you get one. I think it's good because it helps to reinforce for me what I like so much about, like, Final Fantasy X in particular, but, like, 6 and 7, to some extent 8. Even though 8 kind of, like, falls apart after Disc 1, the whole shit with time compression and the Ultimecia boss fight and the crazy, like, David Lynch cutscene where Squall is hopping through time and shit, like, they've still tried to emotionally invest you in what's going on there and what's happening with the characters. But here, the only character I really gave a shit about was Cid, I guess. And even Cid, like, only got a couple scenes, you know? Definitely didn't care about Vaughn or Pinello. I would have thought that I would have cared about Bosch and Ash, but like, their stories seem to be happening separate from the events of the game. So it's very odd. I probably have to think about this game. Kiss Me Goodbye. Not to be confused with Snakes on a Plane song. I have to think about how this made me feel overall, but I think it definitely is in that space of game that isn't terribly interested in onboarding its audience into the world. Kind of has an attitude of like, well, you either get it and you care and you're filling in the blanks, or you don't, and it's fine, you know. I have to praise again the Gambit system is really cool and has a ton of potential. I think I'd love to play a Gambit RPG puzzle game. I think that would be neat. Why wouldn't the hero be wearing the concept outfits? Why do they all have to wear lingerie and bondage gear? That's a good question. The core game mechanics were cool. I feel like, and this is probably the same as Final Fantasy X, they feel over-designed for the actual critical path content, but I bet they all matter very much, and you have to tweak them very specifically for the optional content. Kind of like how you have all these crazy like Aeon abilities that never matter in Final Fantasy X, but do matter if you're doing the monster arena. If walking around auto-battling is salad, the marks are more like the dressing. Okay. Yeah. I can hear that. I can hear that the combat system feels over-designed for walking around auto-battling in the story areas. So you never actually get to, like, get the dopamine hits of the combat feeling good. If you just do the main story. Like, I did a couple of the hunts in this game, and I thought they were neat. Like, the ones that I got stuck on and had to reload several times. I think that was the most fun I had in the game, when I wasn't just, like, nuking the boss down instantly. I see. I like the way spellcasting works. I think the license board was similar to the draw system in Final Fantasy VIII. It was a neat idea, but it was a cursed idea. There's no way to really make that work in a way that's actually interesting, because the relationship to equipment is just like fundamentally boring. You know, either you get the equipment and then go and immediately unlock the relevant license because you save points for it, or you unlock the license and then don't have the equipment and don't know when it's going to show up in the game, and it was a waste of points. I think if the board wasn't laid out in such a non-linear way, if everything had prerequisites, if I needed to get, you know, armor 1 in order to get armor 2, it would feel less silly. It's one of those things that sounds cool on your design document and in paper, but I don't think it works in the game, unfortunately. I don't know if there's any iteration of that license system that would work if the core relationship is with equipment. Trial mode is accessible from anywhere from your primary save, and it has some of the marks and optional espers. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's the one where it just gives you like waves of unique combats to test your might against. You carry that loot into the main game. I see. Yeah, and I guess we'll sit here and talk for a little bit. Given the extreme importance of particularly the hunts content, I am honestly shocked at how easy it is to just avoid it. It basically gets set up in like one of the very first quests and then never mentioned again as a thing that's part of the like true core gameplay loop, right? Like, you could just not know that the board is there, or that there are boards at all, or that Clan Centurio is a thing. Like, you would know if you were reading a guide, or if you were like running around the town talking to every NPC. But I don't think I've ever played an RPG that has that critical of a like subsystem side quest that's like so easy to just completely ignore, right? That's not being thrown in your face constantly throughout the whole game. That shit's wild to me. I'm guessing the percentage of players of Final Fantasy XII who had that experience, who like just tried to go on the critical path and ignored it, is probably pretty low. Maybe this is one of those like we know our audience type of games that Final Fantasy X-2 felt like. That 10-2 felt like a game where they expected you to one-shot the final boss, and so they didn't really code the final boss to do anything sensical.
So if you got there without having 100% of the game, it just felt really stupid, right? 2 points in the game force you to summon an Esper. The rest of the game, they're dead weight or detrimental to use. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think that this game has a lot of good ideas. I think this game's good ideas are better ideas on paper than like the draw system in Final Fantasy VIII. I don't know if iteration could fix them the way I think iteration could fix the draw system or Final Fantasy II's progression system. I still want to see somebody give that a try. I think Gambits they should come back to. Like, I think that needs a couple more goes. But I really want a Gambit game that's just, it's not even a story JRPG. It's just a sequence of combats that you have to solve by programming your party. I think that would be cool. Yeah, so that's Final Fantasy 12. Weird. I had a vaguely positive opinion of 10-2 and came out with a wildly negative nightmare opinion of 10-2, which I'll probably never forget. This one went from, I didn't remember it, but I'm sure it was pretty good, to, it's actually kind of empty. It had some cool ideas, but it wasn't as good as I, thought it was. So next Final Fantasy game is going to be Final Fantasy 13, which is actually blind for me. Not effectively blind, but actually blind. Like I said, I think I played the first 30 minutes of it and got turned off by the proper nouns, but I don't remember anything in that opening 30 minutes or what the nouns were that upset me. But I'm coming into that one with a fairly open mind. I've heard the complaints about 13 that it's a hallway simulator, but I mean, so is Final Fantasy 10, and it being linear does not turn me off at all. I think that's the one complaint. The other cultural osmosis complaint is that 13 is it's got a 25-hour tutorial or something like that, which, whatever. I mean, it's the right year for that to be true, but yeah, I'm curious to see if 13 is baffling. I don't know if I would call 12 baffling. Baffling is such a useful word to describe such a specific phenomenon in video games and movies and just, art in general. 10-2 was a baffling product. This game wasn't baffling. I can see how this game happened. I think they probably just had a team put together that had disparate priorities and didn't really have a person who was in charge of everything, who was okay, this is what the game needs to be about, and this is what the pace needs to be, and this is how we need to present everything. It kind of just feels like you have your teams that are working on the combat and the maps and the hunts and stuff, and you got your writing team that come up with this big grand backstory and this big grand political drama, and then partway through you kind of get the edict from on high that it has to have characters like Vaughn and Pinello. And this game probably shouldn't have been a JRPG. It probably should have been a tactical RPG for the story they were trying to tell. Seeing how the 13 franchise works for a few years. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I guess we'll see. Can I dismiss the end screen? I can. Begin New Game Plus. Do I want to? Can I still begin New Game? I'm not going to do this, but... It's fine. This is fine. It's fine. This is fine. Cool, we'll be back with more Final Fantasy next week.